Guys, what's up? It's your man Pete with Selling Toronto, and I really wanted to do this video for the past few months over the pandemic, but frankly, I didn't have anybody to talk to because I don't sell cottage properties. But this is interesting because Natalie came to me through my inbox. She sent an email, and she writes some good content on there, and it just sort of triggered my brain. And I'm like, I want to, it's the perfect time to do some information about the cottage because things have happened. Obviously, we know pandemic, COVID. And for me, I was really interested in finding out whether there's an uptick in activity. Like, is there much stronger demand? Because we're hearing a lot of things like in the U.S. and places like Manhattan. People are literally fleeing the island, and they're moving out to the suburbs, and maybe moving out to cottage properties like the Hamptons. And obviously, for us, we have a lot of different cottage areas, but we're more well known for the Muskoka area, and of course, there's a lot of other areas too, like the Kawarthas, Prince Edward County. But today we have a very special guest. I've got Natalie Baker, who is a sales rep with Right at Home Realty, and she's been selling cottage properties for 20 plus years. So she really knows her stuff when it comes to these types of properties. I know a little bit. I know how to enjoy cottage properties, that's for sure. And then, we learned about it, 10 years ago when I was studying for the realtor courses at that time. And I still remember a lot of that information, but I don't practice it because I'm mostly in the city. So I wanted to, talk with her, get some insights about what's happening in the market right now. And hopefully she's going to be able to help you guys if you're thinking about purchasing or even selling your cottage. And in her last email, what she talked about was now it's a really great time for people to buy cottages because people like to enjoy their cottages, throughout the whole summer, and then they'll list it sort of around this time right now, late summer, early fall. So that was really interesting to me, and we're going to dig into that a little bit. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you, Natalie, for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we can talk about some things of interest to people. So we wanted to know, like, what's been going on in the cottage segment, in the market there. Like, is it really busy? Like, is it like, are people sort of fleeing Toronto right now, trying to buy cottage properties and maybe like plan to spend more time up there and maybe even work from up there? Like, what are you seeing right
Well, absolutely. As we all know, people are, nervous they can't travel. So they're going up and trying to rent cottages, but they're finding that there's not a lot of vacancies. So they're turning around saying, okay, well, what if we bought a cottage? Or actually, there's also a lot of uh, rentals. I've seen people renting for even a whole month, not just week by week.
now? Oh, wow.
Um, so there are a flood of buyers coming in and buying cottages. There's a lot of bidding wars and a lot of people holding offers. So that's creating multiple offers. And I'm seeing about 6 to 10% over asking. And they're all firm offers with quick closings. So people really were just really desperate to entertain their families this summer
Mhm.
and have some sort of R&R away from the city and away from, maybe they're in a condo and they just want to, get out but they can't do their normal traveling. So for sure, I'm seeing a flood of renters, a flood of buyers.
Okay, interesting. So, so are you seeing also this sort of generational shift? Because I think it's a certain type of demographic that likes to get into cottage properties. For example, I think we talked about it earlier the other day, which was that people with younger kids typically want to get into a cottage, and then older people maybe like they don't want to take care of it anymore. They sort of get tired. They don't want to go up every
Yeah,
weekend and maintain the property anymore. It's just too much work, right?
yeah,
So
that's
because we're
right.
in the condo era now, right?
Well,
Too.
if
Also,
you have another home, it's you have to really maintain two properties. So it is a lot of work, and it's a commitment for families.
Mhm.
And I guess if you're younger with kids and you have more energy and time to do that as you get older, you might want to hire people. You could hire people to do it.
Mhm.
Um, but actually, at the beginning of the year, I was surprised. I did sell to a few empty nesters
Mhm.
looking for a property, and it was more of a dream that they've never actually owned a cottage, and they were pretty lucky to get in before it really went the market went really hot. So but the rest of the summer, absolutely, just people, with families,
Mhm.
um, and young families, but a lot of ones with people with teenagers, just trying to look for something to take their family to entertain them this summer.
It's all about entertaining, right? It's all about fun, right? So,
Yeah.
so Toronto Real Estate Board released their numbers last week, and we had a 40% increase in transactions. I mean, it's a pretty ridiculous number, but August is sort of typically
Yeah.
a lower month, and then obviously everything was sort of delayed. So this is technically maybe like June or July for us right now in terms of the sales cycle. But was there any data and was there any insights into sort of the numbers, in terms of price increases for the cottage segment, or?
Yeah, I can tell you that late last fall, I even sold a property that was, say, around 410, and to price that property now would be somewhere in like 625. It's literally gone up that much,
200?
and
Are you saying 200?
well, no, 410. It's gone up 200. Yes, 200,000.
Over 200. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
In one year.
Yes. And just to put it into like a perspective, the homes, cottages, from 400 to 500, you're looking to be maybe not on the lake directly,
Yeah.
but on a river or some sort of access or direct access, or somewhere where the cottage is, not as convenient to get to the main part of the lake. And then
Mhm.
500, 500 to 600, you're getting into a three-season cottage that's on the waterfront. And then six and up, you're starting to get into a nice, larger four-season cottage. But definitely, yeah, you're looking at year-round use.
Mhm.
Definitely seven and up. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, let's delve into that a little bit in terms of, because a lot of people, when they're buying cottages or even like renting cottages, they're not thinking about sort of those cottages that are away from the water. Everyone always thinks lakefront, but then those are obviously the most expensive properties. So, like, who would buy a cottage that isn't by the water? Is it just because of the savings that they would get, or like what's the reasoning behind the different types of cottages, and why you would want to?
Yeah, land is definitely more affordable, and a lot of properties you can get 200 acres, and there could definitely be an element of like a river going through the back property
Mm,
or some sort of access. Um, but it's definitely more affordable, and I find that those people are have a different type of lifestyle where they like to do ATVing or snowmobiling, and they're more of an outdoorsy type of person where they want to just you know be back in the bush and chop wood and hang out with their friends. I don't see young families doing those types of things.
oh, really? They specifically want lakefront properties? Is that?
Lakefront properties, you can really entertain people more on a waterfront.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's just that's a different aspect. Or, people that have had water frontage and said, you know what, I don't really use my lakefront, and they'll sell and move to something that's still local because they still love the area, but then get some privacy and get a larger property.
So just getting more land, right? And then,
Getting more land, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then you don't have to deal with the riparian rights or whatever that's called, right? Like the
Yeah,
shorefront.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's a great segue into the next question, which is, so again, let's go back to that email that sort of originated this conversation that we were having, which is that, so people want to enjoy their cottages for the rest of the summer, and then pack it up and maybe sell it or prepare it, winterize it, do whatever they need to do. So what's the reasoning behind why it's a good time to buy in the late summer or early fall? Like, is it like, are you gonna get a better price? Is there more supply? Like, because
Yeah.
you don't get to enjoy it right away, right? Like, I mean, yeah, you could enjoy it, but it's not like how you would enjoy it in the summertime. So what's the reasoning behind
I think on a buyer's perspective, they've watched all these cottages going for multiple bids, and they just can't afford to participate in the multiple offers. So they said, "Well, I've kept my eye on this one particular property that hasn't sold. I do like it," and they'll watch this property and then maybe wait till the fall to see how it goes, and put offers on properties that have been sitting
that?
for whatever reason, and they'll get a fair price. They're not going to get it for extremely low, but definitely a fair market price. A
Mhm.
seller's perspective is, wow, look at this market. They're just shocked by what's happening, and they said, okay, maybe this is the time for us to make a move. But they get to enjoy their cottage through the summer and prepare it for showing. They have a lot of history there and a lot of packing or a lot of things to clean up and get it ready for sale. And the market is strong in the fall. It doesn't really end once the warm weather goes away. The fall market is a great time to sell also.
Okay, so hypothetically, if somebody were to purchase something, say, September, October, like how much enjoyment can you actually get out of that? I mean, I know you can still do campfires, you may be able to still go out on a boat or something like that, but like realistically, how much enjoyment can you get out of it? Living in Toronto, Canada, maybe a month, and then what do you have to do to like sort of prepare it for the winter? Like, what do you have to do?
Well, back to the sellers selling in the fall, what they do sell, they don't have to close up those cottages. They can just hand the keys over to the new buyer,
Mhm.
and so to answer your question is now the buyer has a property and it's fall. So what do you do? Do you just close it up and then wait till next year? I
Mhm.
don't think so. Like there's a lot of depending if if you're in the 700 plus range, like and you do have a four season cottage, you can enjoy it through the fall. Fall's a great time for hiking and having fires and cozy fires inside and inviting friends and Thanksgiving.
Hot tubs would be nice, right?
Yeah, it's a very nice time, and the winter is just it's a beautiful, beautiful winter wonderland. Really, when you go up there, all the
Mhm.
snow on the trees, and skating on the lake. There's ice fishing, snowmobiling. It really is truly a year-round vacation spot. It just depends on whether you can go up to your cottage, if it's four seasons or not. And the only thing you really do have to worry about typically when you're shutting down a cottage that's three seasons or four seasons, because you just don't see yourself using it,
Mhm.
is just to typically turn the water, take the water out, turn the water off, and to put your heat down low, just low enough so that nothing freezes.
Okay.
And that's all you really have to do.
Okay. Okay. So that again, that brings up another question for me, which is that like, what's the distribution between cottages that are winterized and ones that are not? And like, is there a price difference between those? Like, well, what would typically be a price difference between a winterized cottage and one that's not?
Um, definitely like 150 to 200,000. You could start at 600. 600 is pretty much your starting point in cottage country for a three season cottage.
Hmm.
And above 700 plus, you're getting into a nice cottage that's nicely done up and you can use it all the time.
Okay.
um, there's a lot of other things, factors to think about too, is how is that private road maintained in the winter.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of things to know. There's a huge list of things that someone that sells cottages can guide you through, to make sure that you can use it year round.
It's totally different than buying in the city, right? I mean, we have these condominium corporations set up for condos and townhouses here, but I think out there in cottage country, like you have to like be good friends with your neighbors and stuff, and you have to make arrangements in terms of having snow shoveling, right? So it's a whole different beast in terms of putting that contract together when you're buying and selling, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Also, a lot of people in Toronto in the GTA, they own multiple properties. They want to own multiple properties. Maybe take out some equity out of their current property so that they can get a recreational cottage property. Like, so what have you been seeing in terms of the rental part of it, the investment aspect of it, Natalie? And we know Airbnb has been affected, but I think maybe they're still very much useful and being used, over the past summer, for cottage properties in Toronto. And I know the prices have spiked like significantly, right? So
Yeah.
what have you been seeing? Like, has it been better for investors?
Well, if you think of it, an investor, if you remember, like everyone was buying in Oshawa as a great place to buy an investment property.
Hmm.
And those types of properties, they have long-term leases where, you sign the lease and it's a guaranteed income for that year. Where cottage properties, it's literally week by week.
Hmm.
And or you have to do a bit more work on a weekly basis to monitor that.
Hmm.
So you'd have to look into a cleaner, switching over the linens. There's a lot of other things you got to think about too to protect your property, like the overuse of the septic system.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things to consider, but I'm not saying that it's not a great investment. If you do buy four seasons cottage, it would be great to rent that all year round. June, July, August is definitely your hottest month, and you can get the most, yeah, I should say the most money each week
Yeah.
for that rental.
understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, so I see a lot of people doing that. Even a lot of people already having a cottage and picking up a second cottage to do that because they see the need for people coming up from the city.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
think I had a friend actually contact me recently because she owns, I think, a couple of cottages, and she wanted to have it filled up, and but
yeah,
it was insane. It was, I think, it was like $500 a night or something like that. I mean, a
yeah,
fairly big cottage, but like like $500 a night, like
yeah,
that's surge pricing, right? It's like
yeah.
it
But
just the demand is so strong coming from Toronto.
exactly. And there's one other rental I'm thinking of. There's people coming from Markham, Aurora, and they're also looking at Lake Scugog.
Mhm.
And I
Right.
have a property there right now for sale, and I've sold a few actually on that same road. And I looked up the rental rate there, and let's say someone purchased this property, they could get 5,000 a week for this one.
Uh,
And a lot of people that I have sold to, they're thinking, hey, you know what? I'm close to my office. I'm not that 2-3 hours away, and this is only like an hour from Toronto.
mhm.
So people are making a move and selling their primary residence also.
Living there full time, right?
Yeah, like Scugog is not that far from the city.
No, not at all. It's
Yeah,
so if you're going from like Markham or Richmond Hill, like what, like it's probably like 30, 40 minutes maybe even, right?
yeah, because the 407 literally goes straight across now. So you just come down a little bit, and then you're right on the highway, and you could be at at your office or at your work in a short time. There's schools, there's a hospital up there. It's a small town, but it has everything you need. So I can share that link with you, and you can share it with your viewers. And
Absolutely, yeah, for
yeah,
sure. But
yeah,
yeah, so this property is still available, and
it
I think
is.
I've seen the pics as well because I'm on your list. So,
Yes,
it's $2 million. Asking price is $2 million
yeah,
for the cottage, and
yeah,
that's obviously a bit on the higher end, but that's the type of property where you could actually forego if you're one of those types of people that really wants to be out there in nature and you don't want to be in the city anymore. That's the type of property that you would want to buy and live there full time, right? Is that
yeah,
correct? Or-
absolutely. The school bus like literally picks up their kids right at the end of the driveway. So it's just making the move. You're on the lake all the time. It's not doesn't have to always be just a weekend thing. You could live on a lake, live, work, and play, right? So that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I mean, fantastic content. Thanks for being on the show, Natalie. We'll
yeah,
definitely
no
share
problem.
the link of that property, and maybe if any of you guys are interested, or if you know anyone who's interested, it would be a good time to buy right now because you have sellers who are sitting on properties and they just want to get it done while the weather is still nice, so you don't have to carry the property all the way through the winter because there's a little bit less demand right in the wintertime in terms of buying a cottage. And so yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Natalie, for being
No
on the show.
problem.
And it's very good insights into what's happening outside of the city because it is a completely different animal in terms of the types of properties, putting those deals together, even understanding how things like the septic system works, which I have no idea how that works. It just, for me, we just flush it. So let's just not put paper towels in there. That's all I know, right? We
Yeah.
shouldn't do that. But I think we're going to see some pretty big changes, and obviously, when demand is strong, we may see price increase, over the next couple of years for cottage properties. So why not you take advantage of it? Why not you use it as an investment? Why not you enjoy it, right? So we're seeing that shift. Definitely, probably some older people who don't want to take care of those properties anymore, and they're happy to sell it to beautiful young families that can actually enjoy it. So awesome, great content. And I think if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. I'm going to put Natalie's email in the description of this video. I will put my information on there if you guys are interested in the property that she has for sale, or if you just have any general cottage type questions. This would be a great way to get them answered. So thanks for watching, everyone. And hopefully we'll have Natalie back on the show again sometime soon. And see you guys in the next one. Thank you, Natalie.
Okay, bye.
Bye.